So now we're going to talk about how the 6 C's, or the main global competencies, are represented in this lesson.
Yeah, and we're going to be starting with critical thinking. And I think this is a really great lesson for it because it's launching an inquiry project, right? So it's all about constructing and meaningful knowledge, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything they're doing from the beginning is taking this context of food insecurity and learning more about it and relating it back to their own lives. They'll be evaluating each other's arguments and looking for patterns and trends as they go through this unit. And this lesson is really what's kicking that off. So.
No, exactly, right. And through that, they're using the other C, which is collaboration, because students, work together in small groups and learn to collaborate with each other, as well as other members of other groups. So they have to learn not only to kind of work with the ones that they're working with, but other people from the other groups, right? So it's definitely a great collaboration of the whole class in different aspects of the lesson, right?
Yeah, and I like that one of the things we did was we remind the students to actually focus on how they can use their strengths so that they're developing as a team player and looking at their own role within the team. But we also ask them to think about something that they can improve on. So what's something I'd like to learn more about so that I'm developing as a person, as a member of this team?
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's all about like managing that like kind of team dynamic and the challenges, right? So the students really have to see which way is best to collaborate within each other. Also trying to challenge them to really see where they can improve, right? Yeah.
Kind of like what we're doing right now.
Yes. And then also we look at kind of communication, which is another C. It all relates together, right? Within like the groups they're communicating. We also have with our differentiated instructions with the visual note taker. There's so many different ways that we're communicating the information of this lesson through not only the teacher, but the students as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the things that I like about this too is because we're telling the students up front that they will have agency to choose the format of their final project, we're saying you have the ability to use your personal communication strengths to convey your message, whether it's visual, whether it's verbal, if it's presenting, or whether it's writing it down, find a way that works for you.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right. And I mean, again, through that, it leads us to creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're using their creative knowledge and really kind of focusing on what is best for them. And this also kind of relates to like the creative dimension, right? Where students learn to think for themselves, but not by themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Absolutely.
definitely the creativity level is very much present in our lesson.
Yeah. And I think it really focuses on my favorite C word, which is curiosity, because we're really supporting that drive to go and figure things out and understand and get to the root of the problem. So,
No, exactly, right. And then this also, right, is kind of leads into the citizenship slash culture, right? Which we're building this culture of respect and trust and having each student select a role and knowing kind of what they're required to do really helps kind of build that community and the communication and everything, right? It's all something, it all connects to each other.
mm-hmm. And I think even the topic itself lends itself very easily to this idea of global citizenship, because food insecurity is something that affects people all around the world. 1 in 6 children in Canada is experiencing food insecurity in their own household. So this idea that we want to build students who are compassionate and who care about their peers and their fellow Canadians and people everywhere around the world, well, I don't know how you could understand more about food insecurity without achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly, right. And I think especially like our lesson plan is all about, taking that kind of proactive stance towards life and learning to learn, right? And
Mm-hmm.
kind of this also brings it to our last point, which is character education, kind of connectivity, right? The issue is about like equity, and it really kind of challenges them to think about themselves and the community and everything and what can they do to help this, right?
Yeah. And even when we ask the question, is it fair to
Hmm.
tell someone you should eat your vegetables. Well, maybe somebody doesn't have that luxury. So
Yeah.
helping to put yourself in somebody else's shoes, I think is part of this. And the other thing too, we talk a lot in character about grit and perseverance. And I think that when we look at a grade 5 class, this is something that they're still learning to do. And there's always going to be some kids that, you assign this task and 15 minutes later they say, Madame, I'm finished. And helping students gain autonomy and take control of their own learning. Well, the reason that we scaffold this project so heavily is because we know that they're going to need time
Yeah.
to develop that habit, because it is a habit. It's not something that you have or you don't have. It's something you can develop as you go. So,
No, exactly, right. And that's what we didn't want this to be something that they would rush, right? And
mhm.
that's why I think the layout is the best to kind of demonstrate all of these 6 C's, and just it's a really great lesson plan overall.
Yeah.